talking about every quarterback change going into 2025. We're going to be talking about how good that quarterback fits into this team's current situation. We're going to be talking about the team itself and just how they look going into the future. We're starting with the Jets and Justin Fields. They paid Justin Fields a 2-year, $40 million contract, which I think is great value for a former 10th overall pick, a very dynamic quarterback. Defenses are scared of his running ability. He can break sacks. He's been pretty efficient with the football. Last year, he had a very high completion percentage. He was good on the Steelers. A lot of fans wanted him to keep playing, but you have to understand that they have Mike Tomlin, and they turned to a veteran, future Hall of Famer, because they had him, and they were both turned out to be one-year rentals, and they had to choose between one of them. And Russell Wilson didn't play that bad, so it made sense. He had a positive perception in Chicago. He was getting fake MVP votes when the team was terrible. And the year after, they started out horrible, but they turned a corner and looked like a good team heading into the offseason. A lot of Bears fans wanted to keep him, but they just happened to have the first overall pick, so they felt that they had to take Caleb Williams. Justin Fields, in this current situation, the Jets are finally starting a rebuild, a real rebuild. They're not trying to win now, but they're trying to get good pieces for the future. Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, that's a great quarterback wide receiver connection. They played together in college. The O-line is shaky. We don't really know what to expect, but the defense, which was 20th, ranked 20th in points allowed last season, should be a lot better. I would be shocked if it wasn't better. They got a new defensive coach, and they have great defensive pieces. I love the Jets getting Justin Fields. I think this is great for their future, and I think he will be their quarterback for the years to come. The Cleveland Browns might be the toughest situation in the NFL right now. They have no clear quarterback one. I don't know if Deshaun Watson will be healthy week one. It doesn't really matter because ownership already admitted that that was a huge mistake. I mean, completely obvious. He's been terrible as a Cleveland Brown, and he's had a lot of injury problems. And they have about 6 quarterbacks right now on the roster. They have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. They drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, who I think was really good value for the round that they took him in. But it doesn't even seem like he'll be starting week one. That would be a surprise. If I had to guess, their week one starter would probably be Joe Flacco, just because he has that previous synergy with Kevin Stefanski before. But really, the Browns right now have no clear quarterback one. I think if they do end up having a franchise quarterback in the next coming years, it's not a guy that's on this roster right now. They were 32nd last year offensively, which is last in the league. They are just through and through one of the toughest situations in the league. They went 3-14. Next year, I would be surprised if they won more than 5 or 6 games. It's just horrible. This is hell for a team. This is the worst situation in the NFL, you could say. Moving on to the Steelers, while their situation is not as murky as the Browns, because it looks like Aaron Rodgers will be their starter week one, he's not on the team yet. And it's just pure speculation at this point, even if it looks like that's what it'll be, and will proceed like that's what it's going to be. This is a very high floor, decent floor, low ceiling team. They have an expensive defense, and it's a very good defense. They don't have a lot of offensive pieces. I mean, they got DK Metcalf instead of George Pickens, which is an upgrade at wide receiver 1. Their O-line is whatever. It's not that bad, but it's not great either. Again, their weapons, DK Metcalf, upgrade over George Pickens, but that's not significant. That doesn't just change their team. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the best quarterback that they've had, we think, in years, but he's also at the twilight of his career, and you have to give him so much power. I mean, he has one foot out the door, clearly. He wants you to pick up his guys. You know, he wants you to cater to him, which is understandable from his perspective, but the talent that he has doesn't justify the things that a team needs to do to get him. If I had to guess, the Steelers are going to be somewhere between 8-9 to 10-7. Best case scenario, maybe they swing at 11-6, but in their division with their roster, I just see them as purely mediocre, and I don't think that this is the most serious Steelers team that we've seen. I think they've gotten lucky with their record in the past couple of years, and obviously they're not going to bottom out, but what are they doing? What is the goal? What is the future for this team? Their franchise quarterback is not on the roster, and even if they get Aaron Rodgers, it'll be a 1 year, maybe 2 year thing. Next up is the Titans. I'll try to keep this quicker than the other ones. Their quarterback change is birthed from having the first overall pick since they were so bad last year. I felt that they made a good decision taking Cam Ward. It was kind of an obvious decision. He played well enough at the U to justify being the first overall pick for sure. I think he is going to be a great quarterback, but the first years of his career are going to be tough. Just look how this organization treated Will Levis. I know he was a second round pick, which isn't like you have to just stick with him, but he had a positive perception after his rookie year, and he had a terrible sophomore year, bad to terrible sophomore year, and that's it. His confidence is shattered. He had 2 head coaches in 2 years, and this is the organization that Cam Ward is going to be stepping into. Weapons, not really. O-line, not great. Pretty good running game. Tony Pollard had a very underrated year last year. Defense is not as good as people think. The defense was terrible last year. And overall, this is a tough situation. His first couple years, I think, are going to look rough before he turns the corner. And I hope they stick with him like Carolina is sticking with Bryce Young. I hope that it goes similarly. And I think Cam Ward is going to play better than Bryce Young did in his first and early second year. So I think they just have to ride the ship, stay the course. And I think they'll be okay, but I don't think Brian Callahan is the head coach for their future either. Next up, we got the Raiders. I like what the Raiders have done in the offseason. They've had a very interesting offseason. They went from bottom of the barrel team to just like win now. Everything is pointing win now. They have a 73-year-old head coach. They got Ashton Genty, the most win now player in the draft. And they have Geno Smith as their new starting quarterback, which is interesting. Geno has proven to be a legitimate high-end starter in the past couple of years. They paid him a lot, but it's not a huge deal. The problem is he's coming off his worst year as a Seahawk. I don't know if he led the league in interceptions necessarily, but I know he was up there. And he was there are a lot of reasons. You can't just blame it on one game or one player, but the truth is they had the same record as the Rams. They lost the division to the Rams, and they played a game mid-year against the Rams that went into overtime, and Geno Smith in that game threw 2 red zone interceptions and a 99-yard pick six. So not to harp on Geno, because the point remains he is a very good quarterback. I just don't think that this is the guy. It's a good guy, but it's not the guy. And he doesn't have better weapons than he did in Seattle. He definitely will have a better run game because Seattle's run game was atrocious last year. And he'll have a better O-line. But Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers compared to a DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, even throw in Noah Fant, it's just different. The Raiders were so bad last year. They've added a lot of pieces, but I don't think they're necessarily a playoff team, especially in their division, which might be the toughest division in the year. I see them going 7-10, 8-9, which I think would be good for them, but I don't know if that's necessarily what they want. I don't really know what they want. But again, they've started from such a bad bottom of the barrel spot that everything they've done is good in a vacuum. I just don't know what their timeline is necessarily. They should be very interesting and fun to watch next year. Now we're talking about the Giants, the G-Men. Their quarterback week 1 is going to be Russell Wilson. They drafted Jackson Dart in the first round, but Russell Wilson will be starting week 1. I can kind of say that as a fact. I'm not in the building. I don't know exactly what they're doing organizationally, but I would speculate that for sure Russell Wilson will be the starter week 1. Russ has bounced around teams in this era of his career, and that's unfortunate because his perception has kind of gone down from the, first ballot Hall of Famer that he is. But talking about their pieces, their defense looks good on paper. They have like a really good pass rush. Abdul Carter, you got Thibodeau, Burns, Dexter Lawrence in the middle. But their ceiling seems very low. For them to go 3-14 last year, even with bad quarterback play, it just wasn't what I was expecting. They seem well coached, and I like Daboll as a coach, but this is save your job mode for both Daboll and Joe Schoen, the GM. I think that their running game will be better. They have Tracy and Scatabo. It wasn't bad last year, but I think it'll be better. They have a budding superstar at wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. And even if Russ is the week 1 starter like we've established, I think Jackson Dart will definitely play in mid-season or ending the season. I just think that's how it'll turn out. Because I don't think this team is a playoff team. I don't know if Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen will survive this year. I think a lot of the moves that they made were desperate, out of desperation moves. And even if they're good, I like that their draft and free agency turned out this way. They're in one of the toughest divisions in football, and I don't see them coming in third in the division. I see them coming in last. I don't think they'll be better than the Cowboys, Eagles, or Commanders. I just don't see it. I don't see the vision from Daboll or Schoen's perspective. I like the future, but I don't like the now, especially for them. I could see them going 6-11. I could see them going 9-8. They're just a hard team to speculate. Even what they want is difficult because these guys are trying to save their jobs. They're trying to win right now, and this team really is not built to win now. Next up, we got the Vikings. Now, this situation is far different from a lot of the previous teams we've talked about. A lot of the previous teams, it's you get a quarterback because your last quarterback was terrible, and you're just trying to win and improve, and you're trying to claw out of the bottom of the barrel. But for the Vikings, they went 13-4 last year with Sam Darnold. It's going to be hard to replicate that, and I don't think people are looking for that to be replicated. But they have J.J. McCarthy. It's going to be his first year starting. There was some speculation that they would get a veteran like Rodgers or something. I like that they didn't. I feel you drafted J.J. McCarthy in the top 15. He's got to play at some point. Why not now? He has great weapons. He is the best receiver in the league, arguably. He has Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. They got Aaron Jones. The O-line is decent. It's not great. It was pretty bad at the end of the last year. A lot of that was Darnold taking sacks. Their defense is so underrated. It's so good. A Brian Flores defense, they're going to get you a lot of sacks. They're going to get you a lot of turnovers. They're going to have the other team fighting to just get first downs. I think this is one of the best situations a quarterback has ever walked into. I've heard that people are very worried about J.J. McCarthy's weight. That injury, especially at the start of his NFL career, he couldn't do a lot for months at a time. I don't know how he will perform. We haven't seen him in an offense like this. His offense at Michigan was a Harbaugh offense, super run heavy, super defensive. And I think the Vikings will try to adapt to him. But he's just gonna have to learn how to play in the NFL. and I think there'll be a lot of growing pains. I think early Vikings fans will be missing Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold put together a hell of a year last year. He threw 35 and 11 off the top of my head, I believe. That's something that you just don't get with not a rookie quarterback, but a quarterback playing his first NFL ball ever. I could see the Vikings, they will take a step back this year. They will not go 13-4 again. But I could see them being a solid wild card team. I think the Lions are still a step ahead. They just have more, but I don't see the Packers or Bears outdoing them this year. Maybe in the years in the future they could, but the Vikings right now have a lot to win now. The quarterback is the biggest question mark. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr just retired, so we know it's not going to be him, so they're going to have a QB change no matter who they start. They got Tyler Shaw, Spencer Rattler, and Jake Haener. The most logical guess to be the Week 1 starter would be Tyler Shaw. They spent the most capital on him. We've seen Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler play. I mean, it was both their rookie years. You have to give them a little bit of grace, but they weren't good. They weren't able to win games in the NFL, and they weren't able to show real flashes of talent. Now, is Tyler Shaw going to get in there, and is he going to light it up? Probably not. This is probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league. First-year head coach, rookie quarterback, not a lot of pieces around them. For a bad team, they don't have terrible weapons. They have Alvin Kamara at running back. They have some veteran players on defense. But it's just not going to be enough to compete. They are in probably the worst division in football. So I could see them going 6-11, 5-12. I don't even know if that's what they want. They might want to just bottom out and get one of the best players in next year's draft. For Tyler Shaw, all he has to do is show some flashes, and I think that'll be enough unless they get a super high pick for a quarterback. I think that'll be enough to be the starter for a second year. For his sake, I hope he's able to play well and justify starting that second year. Last but not least, we have Seattle. This is a downgrade for Sam Darnold, team-wise. He goes from the Vikings with one of the best rosters and best coaching in the NFL to the Seahawks. Not a significant downgrade. The Seahawks still were able to go 10-7 last year. They have good support in the skill positions. They have K9 and Charbonnet back there. They have JSN. They now have Cooper Kupp. The O-line was the worst part of their offense last year. They drafted O-line in the first round. Let's see if that can improve. There's a lot of question marks surrounding Sam Darnold. What type of quarterback truly is he? Is he more of what we saw early in the year with the Vikings last year? Or is he more what we saw in his early part of his career and the last two games, really? It wasn't a super large sample size of him playing bad football, but those last two games were horrible, and they were enough for the Vikings to move off of him, to not pay him that grand money that Seattle had to end up paying him and stick with the guy that they drafted on a rookie deal. With the Saints, they do have Clint Kubiak now. With the Seahawks, I mean. They have Clint Kubiak now from the Saints, and we'll see if he can install a better run game than they had last year. They have great backs, but their run game was horrible. I actually quite like the Seahawks defense this year. I think it was better than people get it credit for last year. It started out horribly, but they have a good defensive coach. It was his first year. They still were able to have the 11th ranked defense in points allowed. I think that number will go up, and I will be picking the Seahawks to win that division, which is underratedly pretty weak. I mean, the Niners, their roster does not look good. They've had to pay a lot of guys. They're struggling to pay their quarterback. The Cardinals are perennially disappointing. And how many more years are the Rams just going to go 10-7, win a bunch of games at the end of the year, and sneak in. I like the Seahawks. I think this is one of the better quarterback changes. You go from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, which is not a huge upgrade, but he is younger, and he is better for the future, I think. I wish good luck to all the quarterbacks I've listed here, and I wish you would like and subscribe.